these changes, when I say were visible slightly earlier, I am referring to in 2016, on 29th of September, there was something called Uri strikes. If you remember. Now, what was Uri strikes? Uri strikes was the reversal of roles. Earlier, if Pakistan would fire at us or would not fire at us, we would say that Pakistan has violated ceasefire agreement, has fired on us. Or when we would fire at Pakistan or not fire at Pakistan, Pakistan would allege, no, you fired on us. For the first time on 29th, India said we have gone and struck Pakistan deep inside, and Pakistan was saying no, they have not fired. And while they said they have not fired at us, Hafiz Muhammad Saeed within 24 hours said we will avenge this. So that was the change. But we moved one incremental step further. Earlier we had claimed we fired at Pakistan, and Pakistan said no, we haven't. This time, when our planes went to Balakot, we were keeping quiet. Pakistan said they came and they hit us. Early morning they say that Indian jets crossed over and hit us at Balakot. When Pakistan confirmed that we've hit them, then India said, yes, of course, we hit them. This was the change. And now for the first time, August 5, what we have done, what our leadership has done, what this country has done, is we have crossed the line that even we thought we would never. Forget Pakistan. People within our country used to mock the Prime Minister. Someone like Farooq Abdullah said, 10 baar bhi jeet jayenge, chhu nahi payenge 370. Where were they getting this arrogance from? This arrogance was justified, let me tell you, in all honesty. This arrogance was justified because Indian political class had shackled itself. These were self-imposed shackles. Had literally drawn it in stone that these are inviolables, these are givens. Nobody dared touch it. So these were psychological shackles. We had very happily worn them for 70 years. We had told ourselves time and again that this can't be done. So for the first time, when India, instead of begging for accommodation, instead of paying a ransom for peace, instead of going and running and complaining to the world about what was being done to us, instead of appeasing the adversary, instead of making concessions to buy peace, because that's what we were doing all this while, we decided to go ahead and alter the rules of the game. We said this is not going to be played the way we've been playing so far. You decided on these rules and we played according to your conditions. That is what changed. We were punching far below our weight. We had this capability all this while. It is not some new capability that descended on us from the heavens. It's the same government, it's the same country, the same armed forces, same technology, same parliament, same constitution. We were screaming ourselves hoarse for years that Article 370 doesn't need any parliamentary approval, just a presidential declaration. And that's what happened in the end. And the way it was done, even the process, was remarkable. Well, it is going to be tested in the Supreme Court, and I hope I'm not speaking a bit too soon, but I'm sure all the I's were dotted and the T's were crossed. The way it was done was also remarkable. Forget the constitutionality or technicality of it. The way on ground you first covered every inch in anticipation and in preemption. In Kashmir, 2 months passed without a bullet being fired by our security forces. Kashmir hadn't seen such 2 months in ages. We didn't have to fire a single bullet, not a single life was lost. How? Why? Because the leadership, the ringleaders of jihad, literally the head of the jihadi body was decapitated. Almost 200 of them were rounded up and detained incommunicado with the rest of the body. So body didn't know what to do. It still doesn't know what to do. That's why it is there, unable to act. Plus the deployment was such that if at all this body without the head could contemplate some mischief, it was deterred by the very sight of a very determined, a very capable deployment all over the state. It prevented all kinds of possible violence, arson, disruption. Now these forces haven't descended from the skies. They were always there. So what was needed was political will and some basic, commonsensical preparation, which was done. When they started screaming that, there are human rights violations, there's a clampdown, there's a lockdown, there's a curfew, all kinds of exaggerated accusations started flowing. And our news media, which is perhaps as free as anywhere in the world, if not better, we had a chance to match arguments and facts with each other. And I just kept reminding them that this is very, very good and very, very desirable. Why? All reports of curfew were exaggerated. The 199 police station jurisdiction in Diwali, curfew was not even in the double-digit numbers, single-digit numbers in some sensitive areas, and that too for perhaps a week or two. Then there was 144, which is a very ordinary provision which says no more than 4 people can come together without permission. And I said, if you think this is curbing liberties and snatching away human rights, I wish this was done 30 years ago. We would have been sitting in our homes.
Yeah.
If my country, if my leadership at that time had woken up to such possibility and done just 1/10 of this, it would have given us the confidence to stay back. It wouldn't have allowed them to commit a genocide. Why? Because life is always more important than liberty.
Yes.
Always. If you have life, you will have an opportunity to enjoy liberty. If you don't have life, of what avail is the liberty? And liberty for what? To watch videos on WhatsApp is what they were saying. Where is our internet? Since when has internet become a human right? Not one person died of hunger or lack of treatment or medical attention. Not one. Hospitals ran 24/7. Food was available. Milk, vegetable, fruit. Everything was available. What you see now is a self-imposed curfew. Some people are sulking, and in that sulk, they are also threatening others, holding rest of the population as hostage on a gunpoint. Shopkeepers daring to open their shutters have been shot dead. Truckers carrying fruit from Kashmir to rest of India have been shot dead. Last I heard, a Rajasthan truck driver was tied to his truck and burnt alive with the fruit. So if somebody is snatching away human rights, it's not government of India or our security forces, it is the jihad on ground in Kashmir. And when these incidents happen, those who have made a career out of screaming such accusations go deaf and dumb and blind. Such is the hypocrisy going on in Kashmir and outside about what's happening in Kashmir. They say normalcy should be restored. To them, a normal Kashmir is when there is stone pelting, when there is arson, when there is rioting, when there are convoys getting ambushed, when people die. That is normal Kashmir. And because they resent the decisions taken by central government, they literally wish that Kashmir should burn, that there should be blood on the streets, because that is what will vindicate their stand. A peaceful Kashmir actually blows holes in their theory that there will be an uprising and there will be a revolution. Because nothing is happening on ground in Kashmir, they are frustrated. Pakistan wants a few hundred dead in Kashmir so that they could point an accusing finger at India. Which is why I always say Pakistan will fight India to the last Kashmiri. Till a single Kashmiri is alive, they'll continue to fight India because they're not shedding their own blood. They're fighting India at the cost of Kashmiri blood. They're fighting India at the cost of Kashmiri assets, Kashmiri public property, Kashmiri schools, Kashmiri hospitals. And nobody is pointing this out. Their frustration is that Kashmir is not burning. Kashmir is not littered with corpses. And India has been able to keep peace, keep order, and keep jihadis at bay in Kashmir. That is their frustration, and this is our argument. This is our moral high ground. If somebody pops up and says, what is happening in Kashmir, you must tell them what should have happened to Kashmir, what should have been allowed to happen in Kashmir is all under control now after 30 years. And that is how it should remain. Phones have been restored. Those who sulk and want to carry on a pretense of a protest, you know what they do? Open shops at 8 a.m. in the morning and shut them by 10, and then open again at 6 p.m. in the evening and shut them by 9. So if morning 2 hours and evening 3 hours, in these 5 hours, everyone gets what they want. But between 10 and 5, for the cameras, shutters are down. Now let them be. Because everyone is carrying on now. Sometimes you see funny things happen. Banks called a meeting of their managers. They say our customers actually have changed their working hours. So if businesses are operating between 8 and 10 in the morning and 6 and 9 in the evening, probably we should also help them. Let it be. So that is happy news. And it seems like a waiting game Jihadis know better than this because their leadership is not accessible to them, who had been creating hartal calendars and agitational programs and distributing money for that. All that has dried up. So whatever is happening sporadically here or there, because there are guns on ground, let me tell you, there should be no shame in admitting that a lot of arms and ammunition has been pumped in the valley in order to keep it bleeding. In the last 30 years, 90,000 Kalashnikovs have been confiscated. 90,000. You can arm 3 divisions and more with it. They don't grow in the apple orchards of Kashmir. India doesn't have the Kalashnikov manufacturing factories. Obviously, they've come from across the border. Rocket launchers, satellite phones, grenades. Compared to what they have, Indian army is using only small arm fire. And security forces, not even that. They have been given pellets, which are non-lethal. Which is why it emboldens the mischief makers. But our army is a moral army, is soaking in punches. Nowhere in the world the casualty ratios are as adverse for the security forces as they are in Kashmir because they exercise restraint. You must have seen the videos where armed security force Jawans are kicked, abused, humiliated.
Stoned.
A man with a gun, his helmet kicked about.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't as much as take out that gun and point at those miscreants because he fears a court-martial, a suspension. That is how we had reduced our brave sons doing duty in Kashmir to mere lampposts. That India of before August 5 is history. The writ of the state is now visible on the ground, and these troublemakers know this. That is why I say, these are psychological issues. This is the way you look at the world. Earlier, this country was there in the name of winning hearts and minds, getting kicked in the face, prostrating in front of implacable enemies. That is what we were doing. In some silly notion that we can perhaps persuade. That has changed now. What has gone out clear is that if you behave, you will be respected and looked after. If you don't, there will be consequences. I think this is fair anywhere in the world. Show me one country where someone like Gilani, after 30, 40 years of treason, would survive and live into his 90s. Show me one country in the world which will bring a school dropout, street urchin, genocider, mass murderer Yasin Malik to India to be cured, treated at taxpayers' expense, spend crores on him. And he would instead then go to campus after campus bad-mouthing the country that has got him here. My country, if I request for a passport, would ask me, do you have a criminal record? This man, on my expense, was traveling in US. On my expense, went to Pakistan, got married and raising a family in Kashmir. And day in and day out abusing us, humiliating us. That India of before August 5 has changed.
Yay.
You know, there's a gentleman called Mr. Jawaharlal Kaul. He lives in Dwarka, Delhi. He's a veteran journalist. One of our community elders. He's in his 80s. He was given Padma Shri 2 years back. He once told me that he had a classmate from Kashmir. You know, he grew up in Kashmir, studied in Kashmir. So one old Muslim classmate came to Delhi in one winter and he met him. And among classmates, there are no inhibitions, you know, you grew up together in young days, so you can ask some blunt questions. So that's what he did. He asked him, whatever his name was, Imtiaz or something. He says, why have you guys gone mad? Where will you find a country like India? Go 1,000 kilometers in any direction from Kashmir and show me one country which is so liberal, so tolerant, so generous. So this guy turns back and says, I'll answer that question a little later, but first tell me, you Hindus have a belief in mantras. He said, yeah. He says, I've heard that, you know, you believe that if you do a siddhi with a mantra, then that mantra fulfills your wishes. He says, yeah, I've heard that. He says, you've heard that, but have you found such mantra? He says, no. In my life, I haven't yet come across. At least, I haven't got a mantra siddhi which can fulfill my wishes. So his friend says, but I have. He says, yeah, really? What is that mantra? He says, that mantra is all over Kashmir. This mantra is Pakistan Zindabad. Whenever I say this, your country comes on bended knees to ask me, sir, what do you need? What do you want? That India of before August 5 has changed. That has changed. These are the intangibles. This is about how you look at the world. This is about how you look at yourself. This is about how you look at the challenges and how you respond to them. It's not about your capability. It's not about what you have or what you know or what your skills are. It's all in here. What your numbers are. No. It's all in here. It's about how you look at yourself and how you look at the world in front of you, how you look at the adversaries. The second thing that is very heartening is that our adversary was completely friendless when our neighbor on the west went around the world